Hey, it's Paul from howtoplaybassdotcom. In this video we're going to learn how to play Graham Maby's bass line on Is She Really Going Out With Him by Joe Jackson. Great bass line for a bass player to pick up. It's pretty simple, but some nice little melodic things happening, but they're very simple, very easy to model and put into other similar tunes if you're playing with your own band. Before we go and look at the start, the intro, if you're not a subscriber to my free monthly e-zine, click on the link underneath the video if you're watching on YouTube. Head over to my website and subscribe. For subscribing, you get a monthly tutorial in video and PDF format that's exclusive to subscribers. Plus, as a thank you for subscribing, there's also a sequence of 4 video and PDF song tutorials, which again are exclusive to subscribers. So do go and do that, then come back here and let's look at the intro to Is She Really Going Out With Him. Okay, the very first 4 bars of Is She Really Going Out With Him, a little kind of melodic intro, kind of lifted from the bridge as well, as you see when we get to the bridge. Play it with the metronome, then we'll talk through the notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you'd be into the main riff. So let's look at those notes. First bar, we've got D, 5th fret of the A string, repeat D, A, 7th fret of the D string, back to D. And you've got that kind of rhythm. The second bar, almost identical pattern, except it's moved, everything's moved up a semitone. So you've got E flat, and that high note is B flat. So they're the 6th fret of the A string for E flat, and the 8th fret of the D string for B flat. So 2 bars. And the third bar, similar pattern, slightly different rhythm, 2 notes, still maintaining that same distance. You've got F, 8th fret of the A string, C at the 10th fret of the D string, and you've got F, 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 C, F. And then the final bar, this little melodic fill. You've got a slide from C, 10th fret of the D string, to D, 12th fret of the D string, but it's a very quick slide. And then the next note is C at the 10th fret of the D string, and then the last 4 notes, F, G, B flat, G. F and G, 8th and 10th frets of the A string, B flat, the 8th fret of the D string, back to G at the 10th fret of the A string. So I'll play the whole 4 bars slowly. And then you'd be into the main riff, which forms the bulk of the verses. The main riff is a very simple and distinctive 2-bar pattern that repeats. I'll play it through a couple of times and we'll just talk through the notes. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm sure you recognise that pattern if you know the tune. Very simple pattern. Okay, the first bar, you've got 2 B flats, 8th fret of the D string, F, 8th fret of the A string, G, 10th fret of the A string. And the second bar, you've got 2 A flats, 11th fret of the A string, E flat at the 6th fret of the A string, F at the 8th fret of the A string. So you've got and in terms of notes, B flat, F, G, A flat, E, F, and then you're back into it. And that repeats. That's used as kind of the interlude between choruses and new verses, and it's used as the main pattern of the verse. Now the verse uses just this pattern apart from one variation, which is the lead into the chorus. So we'll go and look at the verse and just talk about that lead into the chorus. So we just looked at the basic riff pattern. That riff pattern is used throughout the verse, apart from the last variation or the last couple of bars when it goes to the chorus. So what I'm going to do, the verse, by the way, is 8 times through that pattern, so 16 bars long. I'm going to play through the last 2 times through the riff, so the last 4 bars of the verse, and you'll see the variation as we go to the chorus. 2, 3, 4. So this is the normal pattern. Here's the variation. That sustained note would be the first note of the chorus. So all you do to make that variation is when you go to E flat, just play 4/8 notes, and that sets up the chorus. The chorus is an 8-bar section. We'll play through it with the metronome, then we'll talk through the notes. 2, 3, 4. Then you'll be back into the riff. Okay, so let's go through those note by note. First bar is just E flats, 6th fret of the A string. The second bar, you've got low B flat, 6th fret of the E string, octave B flat, 8th fret of the D string, and then those last 2 notes are the B flat again and F at the 8th fret of the A string. Third bar, E flat again, and then those 2 notes are B flat, 8th fret of the D string, back to E flat. Then the fourth bar is, you've got D, D, G, F. The D's are played at the 5th fret of the A string, G at the 5th fret of the D string, F at the 8th fret of the A string. Then the 5th bar is E flat, apart from that last 8th note, which is an F. The E flats are at the 6th fret of the A string. 7th bar, G, 5th fret of the D string. And then that kind of approach note, so dominant approach note, is B flat again at the 8th fret of the D string. Then you've got a bar where you just sustain E flat, and a bar where you just sustain F. They're the 6th and the 8th frets of the A string respectively. I'll play through that section without the metronome slowly. Back into the riff. Okay, the next section that we need to go and look at is the bridge. The bridge starts around the 2 minutes 15 mark of the tune. Really interesting section, 16 bars long. We'll play it with the metronome, then we'll talk through it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's go through that line by line. The first 4 bars now this sequence very similar to the intro sequence. Starts off on D, and then you've got that A back to D. D is the 5th fret of the A string, A is the 7th fret of the D string, so D, D, A, D. Then you've got the next bar, same pattern, moved up a semitone. So the notes are E flat at the 6th fret of the A string, and the higher note is B flat at the 8th fret of the D string. Then we go up to F, pattern moved up again, but this time moved up 2 frets. So you've got F, F, C, F. F's the 8th fret of the A string, C's the 10th fret of the D string. Then in the first 4 bars, finish on a G chord. So you've got 2 G's, 10th fret of the A string, then the octave of A, the 12th fret of the A string, and slide back so you can get to the D for the start of bar 5. Now, bars 5 to 9, and also, bars 5 to 8 and bars 9 to 12 are very similar. They use the same chord progression with some minor variations. So this is bar 5 to 8. Bar 5 is the same as bar 1. Okay, then bar 6, what we've got is a couple of extra notes in there. What we're doing is we're going from the B flat to the octave of E flat and back to the B flat. So you've got E flat, B flat, octave E flat, B flat. Those notes are at the 8th frets of the D and G strings respectively. And then the next bar in F is the same pattern as the pattern in E flat, but just transposed up 2 frets. You can slide into the F to give a bit of character to the line. So you've got F, F, C, octave F, C, and the C and the octave F are at the 10th fret of the D and G strings respectively. Then the 8th bar is identical to the 4th bar. 2 G's and then the A at the 12th fret and sliding back. So we move on to the 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th bars. 9th bar is identical to the 1st and the 5th bar. The 10th bar is identical to the 6th bar. The 11th bar, you're going up to F, has got the same rhythm as the 7th bar, but instead of going, we're throwing in an extra low F and going to C and back to F. So, and then the final bar of this pattern, bar number 12, changes. Instead of going up to A, we're going to play C and G at the 10th frets of the D and A strings respectively, which will set us up for the final 4 bars with the kind of just those melodic sections that really jump out. So the first one of those sections, excuse the squeak there. So you've got 2 F's, 8th fret of the A string, then you've got a slide from the F to the G, and then that slide is the 10th to the 12th frets of the G string, then you're playing F again at the 10th fret of the G string, then you're playing C at the 10th fret of the D string. And you're playing exactly the same pattern for the next bar, only in G. So you start here, the 10th fret of the A string, and the other notes you're playing, so you've got G, G, slide from G to A, 12th to 14th frets of the G string, back to G at the 12th fret of the G string, back to D at the 12th fret of the D string, and then you go back to F, and you've got that run that we used in the intro. So that bar of F before the run to the intro is, which is F, F, 8th frets of the A string, another F, C at the 10th fret of the D string, octave F at the 10th fret of the G string, and then you've got that run, which is the slide from C to D, 10th to 12th frets of the D string, C at the 10th fret of the D string, and then F, G, B flat, G. 8th, 10th of the A string, 8th of the D string, back to G at the 10th of the A string. So that section's probably the hardest to pick up, but go back to the slow play along at the start of the section with the metronome and then work through it, play through each line and learn it. Really cool section, sounds really nice, especially those bars right in the last 4 bars of the section. That only leaves one section to look at, which is the kind of there's a variation of the basic riff used in the outro. So let's go and look at that variation in the outro. Okay, after the last chorus, come straight out of the chorus into a riff. There's kind of like a little variation of it, which leads to the finish of the song. So we'll just play through it. So imagine we're just coming out of the chorus and into the riff. 3, 4. And then there's that delayed ending on the B flat. So what you're playing, same notes as the riff, as we've already learnt, but instead of playing it like that, we're playing and throwing in a triplet. And then you also, instead of keeping the next E flat, sorry, the triplets on the A flat at the 11th fret of the A string, when you go to the E flat, instead of making that note short, as we were doing in the riff, when we use the triplet, we're sustaining that note to the next, to that final and note on the F before we start the riff again. So it plays the riff once normally, and then it plays this pattern 4 times. So this is the 4th time. Then there's a pause, that E flat's only held for a beat, and then on the 3rd beat of the next bar you just stab and play a B flat, 8th fret of the D string, and that will finish the song for you.